You're listening to Brandon Sports Talk, interviewing professional athletes and Paralympians and Olympians. And now for your professional athlete interview and your host, Brandon P. Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the Carolina Cobras, Adam Smith, a NAL indoor football arena football player. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Brandon. I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in playing in professional football?
Yeah, it's just growing up. I fell in love with the game of football. I grew up as like the youngest in the neighborhood, and I was kind of the kid on the coattails of everybody else. I was the one who would always be losing because I was the smallest. I was the youngest, of course, like I said, and I was the youngest by like at least 3 years. So just being able to compete, play football from the time I was probably 5 years old. And the first year I was allowed to be involved with an actual football team, I was in the first grade and we weren't allowed to play. So I was a water boy. And the moment I could play, I strapped it up and I just knew that's what I wanted to do forever. So really early on.
What was that experience like going to play college football at Guilford?
I loved it. I went to Guilford as a quarterback. That was my big motivation for going there, and the main reason I went to a smaller school because I had some Division I opportunities, but it was all to play receiver or DB, and I just wanted to play quarterback. And so it obviously that didn't end up working out because I played receiver starting like week 2 of camp. Um, but it was really the perfect place for me. It it allowed me to get an education that I wouldn't have gotten elsewhere. It allowed me to open up my mind you know, just to where look at the world a little differently and be able to understand myself and others a lot better. So from that perspective, it was phenomenal. And my experience on the field could not have been much better. We weren't really, Guilford was traditionally pretty bad until my class got there. And the year before my freshman year, they were 1-9. The year before that, they were 0-10. Um, and then from my freshman to senior year, we were 5-5, 6-4, 8-2, 9-1. So I had a great time and really built really, really good relationships there and played some pretty dang good football.
What was that experience like getting to put on that uniform for Guilford and representing Guilford?
It was cool just because of the fact that I'm from 45 minutes west of Greensboro. So it was close enough to home to feel like a hometown game for me and feel like I had a lot of support because I was local. Um, because it was still a part of the triad, and where I'm from is a part of the triad. So um, it was just it was really comforting for me to be able to be so close to home and be able to um, represent my school and my home as well, and my family and friends, all that stuff.
How was that like, obviously, as you said, representing your home and being so close to the Guilford area?
It was just important for me, for my family to always be able to come and see me. Of course, if Southern Cal would have given me an offer, I would have been on a plane in 5 minutes to go play. But with where my life kind of was at the time, it was important for my family to be able to see me play, and it was important for them as well. They really wanted to be there, so it meant a lot just for them. My family never missed one college game, no matter where it was. They were at all 40 college games I played. So um, it was really cool to be able to experience that. And even to this day, they haven't missed a professional game that was in North Carolina, at least. Of course, they don't travel all around the country with us, but a home game and championship games, they've been to everyone. So it's really cool to be able to be so close with them.
What was that transition like going from college at Guilford to getting into professional football and playing for the Carolina Cobras?
Yeah, the biggest adjustment is just the style of play between regular outdoor and arena football. So it took, to be quite honest with you, it took like one whole season to be able to understand what the heck I was doing. Because as a receiver, the timing is so different, the routes are completely different. You kind of have to unlearn a lot of the fundamentals that are hammered into your head in college. Because some of the arena routes are would be considered an ugly route or a bad route outside. So you have to open your mind to figure out how to play this indoor game. So it took time just to understand all of those little intricacies and be able to operate on the field without thinking. It took time. So, but now that I have both experiences, it makes off season a lot of fun because I can do anything. I can kind of like pivot back and forth training for outdoor or training for arena. So it makes things fun. And playing an arena has made outdoor feel easier as well because it's slow. There's more space. Um, Even the football is different to catch. So it was an adjustment, but it was at the end of how many ever seasons it's been now. It's been a cool adjustment to make.
Of course, getting into indoor football, what was that experience like first going to Cape Fear Heroes and playing for them?
Cape Fear was really good. I had some other experiences that didn't go so well for one reason or another, but that was my first experience where I was able to be the guy. I was able to be the number one receiver for the most part, and it was a stable organization. Owners took care of us. We had everything was just taken care of. So it was really that was I feel like my introduction to like actually being an active participant in professional football. So I really enjoyed it. And in my one season, although it went by pretty quickly, Fayetteville really welcomed me with open arms, and their fan base was really loyal. So it was a lot of fun. And that season I think really propelled me to where I am now because, like I said, that's where I got my good film, and that's where I was able to show people that I could play and kind of start to put my mark on the game.
What was that transition like going from Cape Fear Heroes to coming to Carolina Cobras?
Um, to be honest with you, a lot of the stuff was the same, but I'd say the biggest difference is the organizations were better. The teams you're playing against are better, and all of the players are good. Playing at Cape Fear, our team was good, but you would occasionally play against some guys and just teams that were bad. They weren't really good players. Coaches were bad, organizations were bad. But playing with the Cobras, playing in the NAL, every week you're going to have to be on your A game, or you're going to lose the game, whatever it may be. But I think that was the main adjustment is just you gotta bring it every play because in the NAL with the Cobras, you're lining up across from guys that have played in the SEC, played in the NFL, CFL, XFL, whatever, and they've actually played. It's not just like, ooh, I got invited to rookie mini camp and they let me go after a weekend. It's like the Cobras we just signed. I'm glad that they announced it before we got on this because he actually called me right before and told me we just re-signed Joe Powell, and he's had significant time in every outdoor league. I mean, he's played in the NFL, so that playing against that caliber of guys, I mean, it's been really cool. But that I would say you weren't seeing that all the time with the Cape Fear Heroes. Occasionally you would see it, but not as often, not on a daily basis like now.
Of course, with the Carolina Cobras, what is that like getting to play with players that have played in the NFL, XFL, or even CFL, like Joe Powell?
Yeah, it's really cool, and it kind of puts things into perspective. for us players, I think, to where, at least for me, it puts things in perspective where I've always believed I could be at a high level, but when I'm able to go up against Joe and I can beat Joe, of course Joe beats me too. But when I beat Joe, it's me. It tells me like you can be at that level. You are who you always wanted to be. And I don't need the reinforcement from other people. I don't need an NFL contract. It's just I'm able to prove that I can compete with that caliber of player. So, and I think that that's how other people feel about it as well. And just, I think it legitimizes our league where people sometimes think it's a joke. And I mean, if you ever go to an arena football tryout, there'll be plenty of guys out there that it's just like your average adult man coming out and they think they can just like try out and make a football team because they played in high school. And I think they quickly realize like you're not that guy and you can't compete with us because we're at the top of our game. We're the top 1% of football players in the world. And I think having those NFL names around legitimizes us from the outside looking in.
What was that feeling like for you getting to put on your first Carolina Cobras football jersey?
It was it was cool, mainly because again I'm back in Greensboro, so it was like a homecoming for me. I'd always wanted to play with the Cobras. I had some opportunity to play with them when they reemerged in 18, but some things went sideways here and there, and I wasn't really going to dive into it. But it was a homecoming, so I mean, there's not much else to say. I was able to play close to home, close to my college, where people knew who I was again. Fayetteville, I had to create a name, and when I would go back to Greensboro, people know me again. So it was so cool. It's kind of like when one of those kids from that grows up in Pittsburgh, or like if we go to James Conner, he went to Pittsburgh, University of Pittsburgh, and battles cancer and all this stuff, and then he gets drafted by Pittsburgh. So it's obviously not the same thing because it's a different story, but just like you get to come back to where you started. So it was really cool to be back to have been back with the Cobras for the last 4 years.
Of course, the first time you put on your jersey, what was that feeling like when you saw your name on the back of it and knowing that all of your hard work paid off?
It's cool. That is kind of something you like dream of growing up, and it's becoming more common now, so I think the allure of it might be gone. But for me, I'd only have my name on my jersey one time, and that was at an all-star game coming out of college, and I still have that jersey too. So being able to have your name on a jersey, it just feels kind of surreal. It's like a little childhood dream that you always want. So really enjoyable and pretty satisfying.
As a player, what is it like getting to play in arena football and in NAL?
A lot of fun because the fans are super into it. It's competitive. It is really fan friendly. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. It's just a lot of fun, and that's why I just freaking keep on doing it. So um, I have nothing but love for the NAL. I think that the past how many ever years since the AFL's been dead, I think the NAL has been the league to be in. There's been the best players, the best coaches. So I've thoroughly enjoyed it.
What is it like getting to live out your professional football career dream and being a professional football player?
It is, say it's a bit up and down because I'm so bad at living in the moment. Um, but there are some times where I sit there and I'm like, this is of course, the dream is the NFL, duh. But I'm playing at a high level. I'm getting paid to do it. And this is just always what I wanted to do. So on the times or in the moments where, sorry about that, in the moments where I can kind of sit back and smell the roses, as my dad always tells me, it's really cool because I, as a young child, set out to do something and I'm doing it. So it's awesome.
What are some of the biggest similarities and differences between the NAL and the IFL?
So in the past, IFL is indoor style, arena, or NAL is arena style. So a quick explanation for that. Arena is pass heavy. The fullback is usually like a lineman. Quarterback is under center, one receiver in motion. And on defense, there's one linebacker that blitzes, and the other can only move laterally, can't move back past 6 yards. Indoor style is more similar to outdoor, whereas where there is a quarterback who's in shotgun more often than not, a true running back, and you can have two receivers in motion. And on the defensive side, one linebacker blitzes, the other one can do whatever the heck he wants. Um, so the NAL has adopted indoor rules this year. So we'll be playing with those same rules as the IFL, except we will have rebound nets, which we had this past year, which are just the nets behind the end zone. So when they kick it, if you miss the kick or if they're on kickoff, if it bounces off the net, the ball is alive. So that'll be the main difference between the NAL and IFL this year. Um, as for the leagues themselves, I think the IFL has been so established for so long. I think that's kind of their strength is that their stability has been it speaks for itself because they have been around for so long. Um, and I think the difference from the NAL to the IFL is I think the NAL has better players. I've worked out with IFL players that they are pretty good in that league. I'm not going to be too specific, but I don't think they would be a player in the NAL. So I think that NAL players have, on a broad scale, been better. There are guys over in the IFL that would come and start in the NAL and kill it. And I think there are guys in the NAL who could go to the IFL and be bad. So it goes both ways, but I think, like I said, on the broad scale, NAL players have been better for the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a Carolina Cobra wide receiver?
Yeah, so I'll just give you a home game scenario. So, um, home game, we have a team sponsor hotel, and because I don't stay in Greensboro during the season. I'm either commuting or I'm local. So I will stay in the team hotel and with my wife. Usually she'll bring her dog down. So wake up in the morning, grab some breakfast, and both of us went to college in Greensboro, my wife and I. So we'll go get some breakfast. Usually I'll try to go get some treatment that morning as well. So I get some cryotherapy and um, some compression boots and things like that. Go grab. I have like a special. We have another sponsor, Healthy Shape, that they hook me up like a game day formula drink to make sure I'm hydrated and fueled up, and my energy levels are correct and everything. So I'll run by Healthy Shape, get a smoothie, and get my drink. Um, and then usually by that time I'll go get like a snack of some sort. That's probably around 11:30. Get like a good snack because I know I'm going to eat pregame meal in a couple of hours. Go back to the hotel, just kind of relax for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. Um, Shower up, get ready, and drive to the arena. Get there usually around 2 or 2:30. Um, Before team meet, I just kind of get to my locker, make sure everything is ready. Um, kind of walk the field for a second. Usually the opposing team is there, so chatted up with a few of those guys, and then go eat pregame meal and then get to the pregame stuff. Do my own warm up before our team warm up. I'll catch some balls from our quarterbacks, make sure we're kind of feeling everything out. I will test out the rebound nets to make sure I'm ready to understand how the kicks are going to bounce off the nets. Go see our chiropractor, and then go to team warm up.
What is it like getting to play against some of those different teams in your league like the Colorado team, like Sioux Falls and North Texas?
So all of the teams in our league, except for us, are brand new. Well, brand new to the NAL, I should say. So I can't speak on what it's like to play those teams. But just the teams that we've played against in the past, it's been great. Some of the most storied arena football teams have been in the NAL. So the Jacksonville Sharks, the Orlando Predators, um, Albany Empire. Of course, their name has changed around, but arena football, Albany. Um, so just being able to travel around the country, see cool places, see new cities, and play in front of really faithful crowds. It's so cool. So I'm really excited this year to be able to go to some of these new markets and play in front of their fans because I know they're just as ready as we are.
What is that like getting to play with some of your teammates like Brooks, like CJ, and other players like that?
Yeah, I love it. You end up spending so much time with these guys on the road, at practice and meetings, going and eating. Like you end up spending so much time with them. So you really develop such a close relationship with these people to where you genuinely care about them. So that to me is the biggest thing that I will miss about football is just these relationships. So it's awesome. There is nothing that can beat it. I don't think there's another sport where the relationships are built quite this strong. So I love it. I love my teammates, and I love getting close with them and being able to spend all of that time with them. Spending time on the football field is cool, but the bond comes off the football field.
Who are some of the players that you look up to in the league?
Ooh, good question. In our past, so I watched Darius Prince a lot. I watched him, and I kind of learned a lot about how he paces himself in routes and things like that. He was an AFL guy. He has a crazy story going from college basketball to semi-pro football to the NFL. So he's a guy I really watched a lot and just learned a lot from the way he played. I look at Kendrick Ings a lot. He's like a brother to me now. Played with him for a few seasons, and we're gonna do it one more time this year. But he's kind of similar, has a crazy story, and he's been to the NFL, CFL, all of that with almost, it was an impossible road, and he did it. But I talk to him really often, and he's a guy that I go to for information, knowledge, things like that. Who else? Jonathan Bain. He was our quarterback in the 2022 season. I think that's right. Yeah. And that guy's just been everywhere. He's experienced a lot, and he's just an A1 guy. Um, so always I try to give him a shout as often as I can as well, just to talk things up with him, um, and just to kind of pick his mind and understand what he thinks and whatnot. So those are just a few of the guys. I mean, I'm certain I'm leaving other guys out. Joe Powell, Misha Robinson. I'm naming a lot of teammates to be honest with you, um, but yeah, there are a lot of guys that I really look to for just kind of guidance and information, things like that. And luckily, they're all as cool as can be, and they always offer up their their mind and their words. My first camp with the Cobras, I probably annoyed Joe and Misha to no end, and Kenny Veal because after every practice I'd be like, "Hey, what did I do wrong? How can I fix this? Why did you beat me here?" And I think it helped me a lot. So I've had a pleasure. I've had a lot of um, a lot of luck being able to be around the guys I've been around.
Of course, what is it like getting to meet your fans and having them ask for your autographs and photos with you?
That's kind of similar to having the name on the back of your jersey. It's kind of like what you dream of being a kid. When I was little, I used to practice my autograph in like a notebook. I would just do it over and over and over. So it's just yeah, it's like a small dream come true, and it's also weird because I don't feel like I'm that important at all. But it's fun to be able to do that and give the people the specifically the younger the kids give them an experience to where they can talk with professional athletes and stuff like that. So I really enjoy that piece of it.
What have been some of your favorite memories and moments as a Carolina Cobra?
Um, Man, just going to the championships probably. We've lost the two that I've been in, so it kind of is a weird memory to have. But I enjoy being able to experience um, that that platform, I guess. Um, but with a very non-specific answer, just all of the time outside, like the traveling, it sucks. Like traveling is so annoying, but you're like getting to be with your guys all the time. So the championships have been phenomenal to be a part of, but it's just hanging out off the field. Those are the times um, you really want to be a part of.
What are some of your future plans as the Carolina Cobra moving forward?
Win a championship in 2024. Win a championship. That's it. That's my only plan. Win a championship at the end of June. Uh, Hang up the pads and be a fan. Those are my only plans. Win a championship. That's it. Get out of this season with the championship, healthy, and with good memories.
What advice would you give those college football players out there looking to play in college football?
Like college guys that want to play,
Hmm.
uh, um, you got to dominate at your level. I think that we're hitting a generation of guys that, to be honest, are not ready for what they think they're ready for. I think the transfer portal is allowing guys to not compete. It's allowing guys to think they're better than they are, and it's allowing people to not overcome adversity. So, my advice, if you want to play at the next level, you better dominate wherever you are. If you can't win the job, it's probably because you're not good enough. So, you dominate where you are. Sorry about that. I got a call from a student, I think. But yeah, dominate your position, dominate the person across from you. And if you're good enough, they'll find you. But you've got to do your part. You can't be a Division II player and be honorable mention all conference and expect to get drafted. You weren't even the best in your conference. So why do you think you're going to get drafted to the NFL? I'm just seeing a lot of I'm seeing a lot of guys that are declaring for the draft. But I mean, you weren't even that great in college. So like I think you got to take care of first things first. Like you got to dominate at your level, dominate your competition, and that's the only thing you can take care of at that time.
What advice would you give those college football players out there that are looking to go play professional football, whether it's the NFL, CFL, XFL, or even in indoor football or outdoor arena football?
What was the question again? Sorry.
What advice would you give those future college football players looking to go play professional football, whether it's NFL, CFL, or other routes?
Yeah. So once you get into the process, you got to find a good agent. That's what was most helpful for me, at least. Find someone that has connections that will work for you and vouch for you. Um, and you got to be ready when the time comes. If your phone rings, you got to be ready. So those would be. I think that's the big first step, though, is find a good agent that can really pave the way for you. And maybe times are changing to where guys don't need agents, but I think most people do, unless you're Caleb Williams, where everybody in the football world knows who he is, and he doesn't really need a spokesperson. But I mean, most of us aren't the Caleb Williams, so I think a good agent and um, and be ready.
What advice would you give those rookies out there entering their first year of national arena football?
Be ready to learn. Be open to change because what you thought about football is going to be different. So simply be coachable.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media?
All of my social media, well, I mean, I'm just on Instagram and Twitter or X, whatever, and Facebook, I guess. But Adam Smith, my all of my handles are Adam Smith 7. So it's ADAMSMISF 7. All of the Adam Smiths were gone, so I had to switch it up a little bit.
Thank you again, Adam Smith, for your interview, and best of luck in your future as a Carolina Cobra.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Adam Smith, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.